So this was a fan fiction idea that I came up with, and I pitched to one of my friends, Major Mercury. But I was like, yeah, I really like this idea. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this as like a video. I thought it'd be kind of cool. Anyway, so let's get started. As you can see from the title, it's Pearl versus Toffee. So it's a Steven Universe Star versus crossover. But not in the way you think. It's not your typical crossover in the same in like you typically think, because this one is a story set in the past, specifically 1916. We are in we are in the midst of World War I. So here we go. So the story begins with Pearl escorting a group of beaten down British and French soldiers back. She's bringing like the soldiers she could save back to like to a medical base to be taken care of. Essentially, what's happened is that the crystal gems have been engaging in World War I alongside the Allies, but the problem is that the gems don't want to be here. Even like Rose, aka Pink Diamond, but we'll not get into that. Rose herself, and keep in mind, like Amethyst has just joined the group like a good 100 so years ago. They found her in like the 1700s, and she's still young by gem standards. And now she's getting exposed to war. And Rose is not an idiot. She's been on Earth long enough to see like wars between mankind long enough to be like, yeah, mankind does make war with itself. But it's like when World War I happened, it became like a game changer. Like it really opened her eyes of like how savage mankind can be. So the gems did ally with join the Allies and have been fighting since World War I has broken out. But now it's gotten so complicated, and people like women and children are dying, whole villages are getting slaughtered, and Pearl especially is just like, why are we doing this? Like, this is it. Like, it's not our problem. We should just go back to go back to our temple and just sit there. But Rose is like, these people are suffering, and Pearl's like, yeah, they're suffering at their own hands. Like these apes are still throwing rocks and stones at each other, just like we found them 6,000 years, a couple million years ago. It ain't no fucking problem. It's not our problem. But Rose is like, we keep we keep protecting, and we'll do what we can and protect them. And Pearl's just like, you don't know how long this war's gonna go. I don't even think anyone knows. Like, so we just gonna stay get ourselves caught in another war. We stayed out of all the other ones the humans had, but why this one? And Rose says it best, is like, this one is just too complicated. This one is just too massive not to ignore. How long until like this war spirals out of control and ends up on our doorstep? We have a chance to save them. So Pearl, Garnet has her misgivings, but she still follows Rose. Pearl, even though she still loves and believes in Rose, she's just like, I don't want to be, like, this is stupid. Like, this is, of all the things you've done, this is the dumbest idea you've had. And she goes, really, this is the dumbest idea? It's not the first time we've been caught in a conflicting war. So Pearl leaves, and that's when another group of soldiers come in, other survivors of like a patrol, and they're like, we need help right now. Like, they're like all messed up, and they're like, we were part of a platoon. We were part of a scouting party. There were 15 of us. It's only like 3 people. 15 went into on a scouting party. Only 3 of them came back, and they're like, who did this? Was it was it the Germans? Was it who was it? Was it the Austrians? And they're like, no. It was one guy. He came in out of nowhere. He came out of the fog and just started slaughtering us. Like, he just started killing us, and with swords. And they're like, swords? You shot him, right? And they were like, we shot him. We shot that guy multiple times. He wouldn't go down. And it's not. And then it follows up with other reports of like the killer in the trenches, where this lone soldier this lone unknown soldier in unknown fatigues, but he's coming from the German lines, so they're assuming he's a new German assassin or something, and he's butchering soldiers in the masses in trenches. It's an unkillable soldier. No one knows what he looks like. He's all covered up. He's even wearing a gas mask. So the higher ups like contact the gems, and they're like, "Well, listen, we don't, this war is getting awful, and whatever this is he like you?" And Rose is like, "No, there's nothing like us on Earth." And they're like, "Well, something is fucking our soldiers up. Can you go find them?" And Pearl's like, "I'll go. You know, it's probably some human on some kind of like new drug or something that you've invented. I'll go deal with it. It's probably even nothing. I'll go deal with it myself." So Pearl is brought to the front line, to the front lines where this unkillable soldier has been seen multiple times, and of course, being even she's taken the form of a woman, a lot of soldiers are like, "Hello, ma'am. It's been a while since we've seen a woman," and she goes, "I'm not a woman. I'm a construct of a female species and I would prefer if you keep your eyes off me, human." And they're like, "Fair enough." So Pearl is waiting one night because she doesn't need sleep, and that night, guy comes in, just starts slaughtering soldiers in the trenches, and she's like, "There's no way he could have gotten past me. Like, I was awake, all of my senses are sharp, there is no way this guy could have gotten the drop on me." And sure enough, he does. Not only that, he just comes out of the darkness of the trenches, swords drawn, and they start. And Pearl barely summons her weapon, and the two just start fighting. And she's like, "He's fast, and he's trained. This is not, and it's not even like human training. Like, he's moving way too fast for a human. He's not. This is something. He's whatever he is, human. He ain't." So they keep fighting, and then Pearl manages to like get her spear to like catch the gas mask and like rip it off, and reveals the face, and it's Toffee, and she's like, "What are you?" And he goes, I was wondering when I was going to see one of you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Toffee, and I've been dying to meet one of these gem warriors that have been fighting for the Allies. We should talk." And Pearl's response to that is just stabbing him through the chest with all of her might with her spear, then summoning a sword and just like she's making sure he's dead. And she's like, "That's negotiations are over." Walks away, and then like fucking Michael Myers, Toffee like gets back up, pulls the spear out of him, and is just like, "I wanted to be civil." Just tosses it aside. It like comes at her again like a monster from a nightmare, and just like they start fighting again. More allied soldiers hear the commotion and try to help and like try to fire on Toffee, and they're like, "No," and she's like, "No, get away." And Toffee's just like, "I'll get to you in a second." And what happens is like, let's talk somewhere else. But first, he grabs Pearl, puts her in front of him, so she takes all the shots. Her body gets damaged. She goes back and poofs back into her gem, and the rest of the soldiers are slaughtered by Toffee. After which, Toffee just like, just gonna put this here, goes back to the German lines, and waits like a day for Pearl to regenerate. And she's already found herself in like the moment she poofs back in, she gets tied up, and she's like, "Who the hell are you?" Like, and he goes, "As I said, my name's Toffee." And she goes, "Are you some kind of like genetic experiment from the humans?" He goes, "Oh, that's a good one. No, I'm like you. I'm a soldier, and I'm not from here, as you might have guessed. I'm like you. I'm a soldier, and I've been fighting a war, and I've been dragged into fighting this one." And they're like, and Pearl's like, "Where do you come from?" He's like, my home is called Septarsus, and my people have been at war with a fascist regime called the Mumins. We've been fighting it for a good, I'd say 50 years now, and mankind, the reason I came to Earth is because my leader, Seth, believes there's something to be had here. And she's like, "What could be had in this garbage war on this backwater planet?" And Toffee goes, "I think you don't give the humans enough credit. You see, my people believe in the antithesis of what you are, which is magic. And magic has been used by our enemies, the humans, to keep a boot on my people and other races like us. Mankind doesn't have that. Mankind doesn't believe in magic. It doesn't need magic. It can just invent these marvelous machines of death with just a thought, and it's beautiful. It's the most, they can create the most beautiful things I have ever seen in my life. And they're only going to get better. These war machines are going to get better. And my leader Seth, he's getting on in years, but I do believe, I do believe Seth had a point of trying to ally with mankind. And she goes, "You're trying to team up with the Germans?" And he goes, "Yeah. It was the logical option." And she goes, "Why not just go to the Allies and help, and fight with us? Then I'm sure they would have fought. These humans are so warlike, they would have loved another war." And he goes, "I don't think you understand the implications of what this war is going to have. You see, the Germans, I tried to tell Seth that the Germans were the losing war. But however, desperate men make good allies, because in their desperation, they have put all of their ingenuity into machines we've been giving them a hand in building. And if we help them, if my people help the Kaiser, then when Germany becomes a new empire, they are going to use the machines and the technology they've built to help us combat the humans. And who knows, maybe there'll be a German Septarthus empire in the future. But there's more to it than that." And Pearl's like, "What? You don't?" He's like, "I don't think you understand what your allies are doing to the people of Germany. You see, as I said before, desperate people will do anything. Even maybe after this war is over, I don't think the Allies are going to be very kind to the German people, and who knows what happens in that desperation." See, I'm a bit of a mathematician, and I'm always one step ahead, and I see, if Germany falls, if this version of Germany falls, the second German Empire that is going to rise will be 1,000 times worse. It will give way. I've foreseen something much worse will happen in this country, and it's going to kill millions more. Toffee's like, "So the way I see it, I'm helping these people. My people, I don't like the idea of getting involved in a war that's not my problem. But at the same time, I believe that, I'm helping these people because I've seen what fascism can do to a race of mitigated people. I'm not a fan of this German empire the Kaiser's trying to build, but it's much better than the alternative." And Pearl's like, "Congratulations, you're a prophet, and you're a prophet, and you're working, and you're serving a tyrant." He's like, "Better the devil you know." And so Pearl goes back to, "So what are these weapons you're helping to build the Kaiser?" And he's like, "You think this is going to be a monologue, don't you? You think this is going to be like one of those stories where the villain reveals all of his plans through monologuing. I'm not a villain, and I don't monologue." But I'll tell you what. Toffee's like, "I'll tell you what. I'll show you. We're getting a test run soon, so how about I show you?" And it's revealed Pearl's been locked up in a trench on the German lines, and the ground just starts shaking above them. So Toffee, still keeping Pearl chained up, pulls her up to the front lines, and the Germans are like, Herr Toffee, the weapons are immobilizing. Good. Yeah, Pearl, you're gonna want to see this." And what comes over the horizon are these huge, just marching machines, which I can only describe as like World War I versions of Imperial Knights from Warhammer, like steampunk version, like World War I steampunk versions of Titans, and they're called Toffee's like, we call them sentries, and they're going to be these sentries are going to be useful for the German lines. I've heard the British made things called tanks. That's cute. Watch this. And then proceeds to showcase these weapons using Gatling guns on British troops, flamethrowers in another hand. Another one uses like a Tesla coil on it. Tesla coils on its back to like shooting lightning everywhere. It's just a massacre. It is just a massacre. And he's like, those three are the only ones we built so far. They do take a while, but I think the progress is working. Well, I can't wait to use them on Muni personally. And she's like, Toffee's like, and Pearl's like, you're a goddamn monster. And he goes, only on the outside. I'm pragmatic on the inside. So Toffee's like, look, you don't like this war. And you like, from what I understand of gem history, your people fought in a war that was just the worst. Worse than anything like any of these humans could come up with. So why don't you go talk to your leader, and maybe you can help in this new alliance that we're building, and maybe the next target after Muni's done will take out the fascism of the Gem Homeworld. And Pearl's like, counterpoint, I kill you, and then I destroy those machines. And she's like, and Toffee's like, you got out of the binds, didn't you? And she's like, I got out of the binds. So Pearl gets out of her bindings, fights Toffee again, and the two just keep fighting while German soldiers keep trying to shoot at Pearl, but she's dodging, keeping Toffee, like, trying to kill him. And the fight leads up to one of the sentries. And during the fight, Toffee gets... Pearl takes a spear and like impales him through the reactor of one, and it just leaves him there. And he's just like, it's like, you better hope this kills me, because if I come back, if I can regenerate from this, I won't forget this. And she goes, if you regenerate, and leaves. The sentry explodes. The causing explosion like disables the other two, and they all go down, allowing the British to like unleash a counterattack. However, Pearl understands that no one should have these weapons and proceeds to destroy these sentries before the Allies can get their hands on it. By the time she returns, she's like, I'm sorry, I guess they had like a self-destruct mechanism. I didn't know they could do that. Yeah, totally. Did you find a body, by the way, of that his name was Toffee? Did you find a body? And she's like, we didn't find anything, anybody. He's got to be vaporized, right? And she's like, I hope. Meanwhile, Toffee is pulling like his charred corpse, like his charred body, just pulling it back, and he's just like, this was the dumbest idea. And he finds Seth, who's like Seth and other Septarans who are like, so guess it didn't work. And he's like, no, didn't work. Oh well, these humans, maybe we'll come after our war with the humans. Maybe we'll come back in a couple hundred years, see if the humans are still around. Maybe they can make good allies, and who knows? There might be hope for these little for these apes in terms of warfare in the future. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is Pearl versus Toffee. Hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, yeah, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I just said that twice. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.